Alright, so what we've got here is Spaghetti, which is a malware challenge for Huntress CTF 2025. This is, like I said, malware. We're given a spaghetti.zip, and there's three different flags to find. One is main file settings, the other is My Fourth Oasis and Meme Man. So we're going to start by analyzing this in a virtual environment in my Kali here. Let's do a mouse pad on the, so you're going to get this .tmp and this spaghetti. So if we take a look at our, let's open a mouse pad on the spaghetti. And what we have here, it looks like we've got some comments. And we've got here write host and then a variable. This is indicative of PowerShell, so this is definitely PowerShell. And one of the first things that we can do is, these are comments and they don't seem to be serving any purpose. So we can do some string magic, regular expression, to remove all of those comments. And we're left with just the PowerShell, right? So now we're going to take a look and see what we have here. If we scroll down a little bit, we're going to there's a lot of like math going on here. This is basically meant to be noise. It's not really useful to us right now. So let's scroll down to find our first. See if we can find something interesting here. Okay, so there's some IP config going on. Not really useful to us right now. Okay, so we've got a function here called phonataz qz. That's going to be important later. And another function, homba amigo. That's going to be important later as well. Let's actually try to find, so main file settings, uncover the flag within the main file. Let's just try to find the first hit of this. We found something earlier. Let's find the next one. Okay. So first things that we're going to do in main file settings is it's replacing something, WT with 00. And if we look at our second file here, if we cat our AY file, it's got a bunch of TWWT, right? So this is probably what it's replacing on, okay? And then it's running it through the function homba amigo, right? So let's go back and find our homba amigo, right? So essentially what this is doing is it's taking in the string, which is this, and it's going to replace every tilde with 3 zeros and every percentage with a 4, okay? And then what it's doing is it's creating a bytes object that is as long as the length of our string and doing it in base 2, which is binary, okay? So it's basically getting ready for, it's going to store it as binary. Okay, so now we're looping through our string and we're doing it every 2 characters, right? So we're doing 2 chunks of characters, and then essentially what we're doing here is we're taking the 2-character binary chunk and we're converting it into 6 plus 10 base 16, which is hexadecimal. And then it's returning that, right? So that's essentially what this function is doing. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to try to replicate that, okay? So I have a file here called decode.py, and in here I've recreated the homba amigo function, right? So it's going to replace the tilde with 00, replace percentage with 4, parse as two hex two characters, right? So here we're doing the replacement. We're splitting to remove white space and new lines because we don't need those. We're making sure that it's an even. The length is an even number because we're doing in chunks of 2, right? So we don't want to hit a. We don't want to have it. You know, be under or over, like go go an extra character forward that's not there, or an extra character back, leave one out, and then we're basically just recreating it, right? So we're going every two characters, and we're converting that chunk into hexadecimal base 16, and then we are adding it to, and then we're appending it to our byte array, and then returning that, right? So that's essentially what the function's doing. So first thing we want to do is we want to use CyberChef for this. So let me go to cyberchef.org. Let's get the find/replace tool. And we're going to open a file as input, and it's going to be this one. And we're going to do a simple string, and we're going to replace, what is it doing? What is it doing again? Let's look for main file settings. Find next. Shoot. It's doing WT to 00. Okay, so WT 00. Let's copy this, and I'm gonna put this inside of our do a mouse pad on main file settings. Okay, and I'm basically just gonna paste this in here. I already have this in here, but that's okay. Then I'm going to save it. Okay, and I'm actually going to then use my Python file here, and I'm going to pass in our string, and I want to output it as main.txt. Actually, yeah, mode amba. Okay. I've already ran this. So essentially, well, I'll run it again. So let me, let's run it again. Okay, so it's giving us a little preview here of it being decoded. And if you notice, it has the magic byte signature MZ, right? So 4D5A. That's a Windows portable executable, Windows PE, right? So let's do strings on our main.txt, and yeah, so a bunch of stuff in the executable. You know what? Let's just grep that flag, and there it is, right? So we've got our flag. We got our first flag for the main file settings. Go ahead and paste that in there. And then our next one, it wants the my fourth oasis. Okay, so let's look for my fourth oasis, right? So what we're gonna do is go to my. Let's just look for oasis. See if we can find it. Okay, so we found it. So here's another function, phonatos QZ. So here's a string. It's probably doing some replacement, but we need to find out what this is doing, right? What this function is doing. So this function is taking in a string, not as complicated as the other one. So we're taking in, it's creating a new byte list. We're going to loop through the string, and we're going to go by this time 8 character chunks, and we're going to take each of those substring, those 8 chunk substrings, and we're converting it into base 2, which is binary, right? And then it's going to return the ASCII version of that byte array that's in base 2 binary. So again, I have created this in here. I've recreated this. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. So essentially what we want to do is we want to take our bin text, remove white space, remove any characters that are not 0 or 1, because we know we're going to deal with binary, right? And then we're going to split it into 8-bit chunks, right? And then essentially what we're doing is we want to pad it on the right with 0, so that the length of the string is definitely a multiple of 8, right? Because we're dealing with chunks of 8. And then essentially, you know, what we're doing is we're going to loop through. We're going to take our bytes in 8 chunks, and we're just going to convert it to binary. And then we're going to return those bytes, right? So let's go ahead and run this. Actually, I need to first do add the string into a file, right? So I'm going to call this the oasis.txt. Okay, and before we do that, let's go back to Oasis. The first one here, it looks like, if we go back, it's first going to replace this string. It's going to replace every tilde with a 0 and every percentage with a 1. Okay, so we want to do that first. So let's copy this string, and what we want to do is take this string, make sure I copy that correctly. Again, we're going to use CyberChef, right? And it looks like they want us to do what? They want us to replace every tilde with a 0. So let's find the tilde with a 0. And then we're going to swap that into there. And then we're going to replace every percentage with a 1. So every percentage with a 1. And then we have our binary. Okay, so we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna paste that into here, save it, and then we're gonna do our Python decode.py. Our in file I'm going to specify as oasis.txt. Our out file as I don't know, Oasis decoded, and then it doesn't matter. And then the mode is going to be, what did I specify as the mode in here? I need to look back in my file at the main to see what I did. I don't remember. Phonato, okay. So I'm gonna do Phonato. So Python decode .py Phonato main Oasis decoded, and here we're going to pass in oasis.txt. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. Okay, so we've decoded it and we've got some more PowerShell. So once we have our Oasis decoded, what we're going to do is, if we scroll down in here, we have an HTML decode going on. So we'll take this entire thing, paste it into CyberChef. We're going to use from HTML entity, and what we get if we scroll down to the HTML part is our flag, right? So here's our next flag, B31. Yeah, so there it is. Now the next one is our meme man, right? So the meme man is going to be down here, the tdefo, right? So same sort of thing, right? We're gonna take our string, and it's doing the same process, replacing the tilde with the 0 and the percentage with the 1, right? So here, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to copy this. We're going to mousepad tdefo. Okay, but first thing we're going to do is paste this in here. We're going to do find/replace, and we're going to look for, it wants us to do tilde with 0, so tilde with 0, and we're going to replace that there, and then we're going to do percentage with 1, so percentage with 1. Here's our output. Let's go ahead and paste that in there, save, and then we're going to run this again, but this time, and it's using Phonato, yes, and we're gonna save this as, our info is going to be tdefo, output file tdefo decoded, enter. Okay, so if we do a mousepad on tdefo decoded, here we have some AdMP preferences, and if we scroll here, here's our exclusion extension. We have our final flag. So there we go. So that was a little bit of PowerShell and string, hex, kung fu, if you want to call it that. Pretty interesting challenge. So